Now let's go live to Tehran and bring in Mohammad Marandi. He's a political analyst and professor at Tehran University. Good to see you. What's Iran's reaction likely to be to this proposed U.S. military coalition of allies?
The Iranians obviously are not going to change policy. They will protect their sovereignty, and if any other country wishes to join the United States, they will suffer the consequences if the United States carries out any strike against Iran. The Iranians have already decided that if the Americans carry out even a very small and limited strike, that the response will be overwhelming and relentless, because the Iranians will want to make sure that the United States never does it again. So, in my opinion, it would be very foolish for any country to join any so-called U.S. coalition, especially because they won't make a difference. The only major player in the Persian Gulf region besides Iran is the United States itself. And I think the more tension that the Americans are trying to create, the closer they push the region towards a potential calamity.
Okay, and later today, the United States, well, they've called an emergency meeting of the UN Atomic Watchdog later today. How concerning is this for Iran?
Well, the Iranians aren't concerned, because the Iranians will be stating very openly that they are the only side that is abiding by the JCPOA, the nuclear deal. The United States has been in complete violation, and then it left the deal. So it is ridiculous for them to express concern about Iran's nuclear program. Iran is not violating the NPT, the Non-Proliferation Treaty, and the reason why Iran is slowly decreasing its commitments to the nuclear deal is because of the U.S. violations and its exiting of the agreement, and its bullying to stop other countries from trading with Iran, which is illegal. The European Union, despite nice words, they are basically abiding by the American sanctions, and therefore they're in full violation of the agreement by abiding by Trump's demands not to purchase Iranian oil. They're violating the agreement by abiding by Trump's demands not to allow trade to be carried out with Iran through the banking sector, by preventing the insurance companies from working with Iran. The EU is basically abiding by U.S. demands.
Okay.
Iranians cannot even import medicine from Europe through the banking sector. And there have been cases where people have, because of the high prices of certain cancer medicines, they've refrained from purchasing them because they didn't want their families to move towards financial destitute. So the Europeans are basically waging economic warfare alongside the Americans.
Okay. And Professor Marandi, I want to go back to the words, the rhetoric that we've been hearing lately. And this time, Israel's Prime Minister cautioning Iran that it is within range of Israeli airstrikes.
Well, if the Israelis are foolish enough to carry out an attack, the Iranian retaliation will be overwhelming. Iran has tens of thousands of precision-guided missiles, and I think that the Americans have already learned about Iran's capability when a $200 million drone was downed in Iranian airspace. So it would be smart for the Israeli regime to tone down its threatening language, and more importantly, I think it's time for the United Arab Emirates and the Saudi regime to think about their fate. If the United States carries out any strike against Iran, the consequences for the Emirates would be devastating, and perhaps it's time for people to start leaving the country if this situation continues.
All right. Mohammad Marandi, thank you very much indeed for that analysis.